You are also a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. How did that come about?
I think that came about initially through Otsuka Sensei's prompting. When I lived in Japan, we had traditional Chinese medical doctors, bone setters, masseurs come to the dojo and actually teach workshops. And I never really embraced it much because I was probably too young and silly to really appreciate it. But Otsuka Sensei would say to me, if you're really serious about the martial arts, you have to understand about the healing arts. And yeah, he would say things like, you know, one who learns how to harm must first learn how to heal. And I never quite got it till many years later. It probably took me 10 years, I think, after I returned back to Australia, where I started to do some serious study in traditional Chinese medicine. In traditional Chinese medicine, it teaches you that man and women are multi-dimensional beings, and that is that we function not just on a physical level, but also on an emotional level, a mental level, and a spiritual level. All those levels need to be in harmony for us to maintain our health, our overall health. I think this understanding has been an enormous help in my own personal training and also in my teaching.
Could you tell us how you used your martial arts skill in working with children with special needs?
Yes, I think that the control that I developed through martial arts and my body work has been very useful in professional development workshops that I've conducted in special settings and hospitals where I've worked with staff that deal with physically challenging situations where a person may be having a psychotic episode and they need to restrain that person, remove that person from the room. How do you do that? It's very, very difficult to do that gently and safely. Not just safely for the person, for the student, the patient, but also for yourself. You know, it's important that you're not hurt because they're trying to hurt you, but you can't hurt them. You have to show control. So I think that was probably one of the most important things I've done in my life. I developed a wonderful rapport, particularly with children with autism. Some of the teachers and staff did joke that perhaps I was on the autism spectrum. That's why I was able to relate to them so well. Not sure about that, but anyway. It was a very satisfying stage in my life.
You are the proud owner of Wu Lin Retreat, a purpose-built martial and healing arts centre, and also your home. Can you tell me how this came about?
Well, in Chinese, Wu means martial, and Lin means forest, as is Shaolin, small forest. And I guess it's all a part of my wife Xiaomei and my vision that began more than 20 years ago to build and to create a centre where martial artists could congregate, train martial arts and evolve together. Since then, we have conducted so many workshops. We've had international presenters. We've had Chen Yunqing has been here 6 times, I think. We've had Master Zhu Tensai, he's been here 3 times. We've had my Goju-Ryu teacher, Master Noguchi, has been here 3 times. The seniors of Goju Kensho like Toshio Morita Sensei have been here 3 times. There's been an incredible list of international teachers that have been here at Wulin Retreat and presented their arts. And I guess we've always wanted a place where people can stay together, where they can accommodate together, they can eat together and train together. I think that's a wonderful thing in the martial arts.
What would you consider highlights in your prestigious martial arts career?
Once again, so many things, but I guess at the top of the list would be all my 5 children. Jasmine, Sasha, Lila, Casimir and Lazar, all gaining their black belt Dan gradings, has been a real highlight of my martial arts career. In addition to that, I guess gaining a Bubushi teaching license from my teacher Tadahiko Otsuka. I'm one of the only non-Japanese people from his organisation ever to obtain that license. Another highlight, I guess, is the amount of time that I spent with Master Chen Yun Ching. Not only did he adopt me as his brother, but I also assisted him in 3 huge tours of the US, plus the times that he's been here in and around Australia. That's been a wonderful thing, and we had some wonderful times, we had some wonderful experiences together. Also, Master Zhu Tensai has been my primary Chen style Tai Chi teacher, a wonderful man, a wonderful teacher. He's been here so many times, and I've followed him to other countries of the world as well to study his expertise. And I suppose we have done so many training tours of Japan and Taiwan so many times, probably more than 8 times in each country, where we've met and trained with so many different masters, and so many people have come from overseas countries to join us in this experience. That's been absolutely fabulous. One of the highlights, I think, of those Taiwan tours some 8 years ago was meeting and training with my white crane teacher, Master Zheng Jingying. He has been a man that has filled a lot of the gaps in my training. He only passed away last year at the age of 88, and I developed an incredible rapport with him, and that's something that remains with me every day. Additionally, receiving my 8th Dan grading from my teacher, my Goju-Ryu teacher, Mochiro Noguchi, a couple of years ago was a fantastic treat to me, and I didn't realise how much it meant to me till after it happened. And so I really honour and respect that grading from Noguchi Sensei.
So Kyoshi, any regrets?
Oh, regrets are always hard ones, aren't they? I guess what comes to mind really is probably a regret that I never learned to speak Japanese more fluently than what I would have liked to have. I mean, dojo terminology and words, I'm fairly comfortable, but I would have liked to have been able to speak Japanese more fluently, and I think that certainly frustrated my teachers over the decades that I trained with them. Also Taiwanese, I would have liked to have learned to speak Taiwanese. I tried. My wife's Taiwanese, for heaven's sake. But I guess I was just busy doing other things. But if I gave some advice to anybody, I would say, learn the language of your teacher if it's not your native language.
What are your plans for the future?
My future plans, I recall in 1982 when I first told Oscar Sensei, he happened to be in Australia, he was in my home, and I shared with him my plan that I wanted to be a professional martial artist. I want to dedicate my life to studying and teaching martial arts. And he said a couple of things of great interest. One was, make sure you have a mentor or mentors. And I never quite understood what he meant. And he elaborated a little bit and he said, find somebody older than you, male or female, not necessarily martial artists, but that can give you advice and mentor you along the way. And I never quite understood at the beginning, but then later, that was kind of, what do you call it, an accidental, what do you call it? It's a...
Serendipity?
Serendipity perhaps, but there was a few people older than me that came on the scene and filled that role for me. He also said something strange too. He said, well, he asked me a question. He was always testing me, and he said, do you want to become a good martial artist and a good teacher? And I said, of course. And he said, well, that's not good enough. He said, you have to strive to be a great martial artist and a great teacher. And those words still resonate in my mind. So I guess I will continue with my original plan, and that is to train myself, to mentor my students, to honour my teachers, in particular Master Noguchi, who's is almost turned 80 now, and he'll be retiring shortly to his log cabin with a trout stream in the backyard up in the mountains in northern Japan that I visited on one occasion that I look forward to visiting again in the future. So I wish to honour him and help him in any way he can, in any way that I can help him. I'm also working on my 7th text on martial arts, and that is primarily about white crane boxing and how it's influenced Go-Juru. Additionally to that, I will continue in our vegetable garden, our fruit orchard, and hope to spend some quality time with my grandchildren.
Kiyoshi, thank you very much for sharing your wealth of experience and wisdom with us today.
It was an honour. Thank you. I would like to conclude with a poem by Tsuraka Masami that I think may be relevant to your last question. We are beginners when we are born. We are beginners when we go to school. We are beginners when we leave our parents' home. We are beginners when we marry. We are beginners when we have our own children. And we are beginners when we retire. So don't follow your ego, but your responsibility at those stages of your life.